Yeah, she's on. I didn't stop by and see your friends at the turkey farm this weekend, but I was right there. I meant to call and tell me you were coming, but.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. That's right.
Should get done tonight, but I'll get on one quick. So.
You are live now.
Oh, it's supposed to always, it's one of those already ego. Pizza's gone.
Announcement, we have someone who's missing keys. If anyone sees keys, please bring them over.
I was missing pizza.
Grab some pizza, feel free.
Missing pizza. It's gone.
It's gone.
And that's why everyone else is gone.
Yeah.
That's what Tony said. Yeah, pizza's gone. I'm out of here.
So, Sean, you trying to say we're not as exciting as the Paramount? We're gonna start bringing pictures and photos.
Your keys, Rich?
No, it's Matt's keys, but he's not sure. He left them in here or not.
Good evening, welcome to the regular meeting of the Buchanan City Commission. It's Monday, August 8th, 7 p.m. Call the meeting to order. Tonight we do have some recognition. The Buchanan City Commission wishes to recognize and thank all of the individuals who served our community as election workers in the recent primary elections. Their service, led by our dedicated clerk, Al Langston, furthers our democracy and is greatly appreciated. Secondly, the Buchanan City Commission wishes to recognize and thank all of the sponsors, volunteers, and city staff members who helped make the 2022 Thrill on the Hill an amazing success, along with special recognition being given to affordable asphalt paving and DPN events, without whom the Thrill on the Hill could not have taken place. The efforts of all these generous individuals help make Buchanan such a wonderful place to live, and their hard work is greatly appreciated. You join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Dennison.
Here.
Whedon.
Here.
Downey.
Here.
Money.
Present.
Swett. Gilmore.
Thank you. Maybe we'll move the consent agenda before we approve the agenda. Since we're going to be- And I apologize. Because last week was such a busy week here in town, and our staff was busy volunteering, doing all sorts of things, our packets got to us late. We haven't had a lot of time to review some of the materials, so trying to figure out how to remove some of it from the consent agenda.
If you're still thinking about, is it just the bills or other
Just
sections as
tabling
well?
the bills.
Yep, so what I would recommend there is amending the agenda to reflect that it'd be considering approval of the legally required tax disbursements and tabling the remainder of the bill run.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I got it.
I'll make that motion.
Somebody like to support that?
This money I'll support.
Thank you. So can we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Sean makes that motion.
Thank you, is there support?
Okay, we got it from myself and Bunny first.
Oh, you gotta vote on that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I forgot that part too, Sean. We didn't.
I didn't have any pizza.
Get to Jeopardy. Yes.
Yes. Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes,
Carries.
thank you. Okay, try it again. Anybody wanna make a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Sean, I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Thank you, is there support?
I'll support.
A roll call again, please?
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon.
Yes.
Carries.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to public comment on agenda items only. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please make your way to the podium, state your name for the minutes. Okay, seeing no one, let's move on to item 7 of the consent agenda. Okay,
So a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
as amended, yes, correct. Anyone willing to do that?
I'll approve as amended.
Thank you, is there support?
This money I'll support.
May I roll call please?
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey.
Yes.
Carries.
Great, thank you. All right, moving to scheduled matters from the floor. I believe we have some visitors from SMAC who's taking some questions.
Hello again. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
we can.
Okay. All right. So I understand there were some questions about financials that we'd like to answer.
I believe there was several questions. Part of them were concerning, just general questions about, what if the community doesn't pass these resolutions? What happens? I can't remember all of the questions, to be honest.
That's a good one to start with.
Okay, so there are 6 owner municipalities, City of Niles, Township of Niles, Township of Bertrand, Township of Buchanan, City of Buchanan, and Howard Township. Those are all owner municipalities, so they all are vested in this organization. So what the bylaws say is that it doesn't tell you how to come up with the money to pay your portion of the subsidy. It tells you that you're entitled or you're required to pay your portion of the subsidy to cover the ambulance service. There is some discussion about, rather than dividing it up by parcels like we've done, dividing it up by populations, although I'll tell you that I've seen them run those numbers and they're very, very similar. I don't think they're much different by population than they are by parcel.
So I was on that call, the Zoom call, was that recorded by any chance?
Mike Homier, the attorney, has it. I don't know if it was or not. I can ask.
Okay, the reason I bring that up is, and for the individuals who weren't on there, that was an exceptional call. I really wish that I think almost every municipality had a representative on there. But I will tell you that he covered a lot of the questions that we had. So if there's some way to get, maybe a summary. I know that he had been asked by the other townships and the cities to provide financials to show the differentiating. Did you ever receive that kind of chance? So, okay, because they were gonna provide what it would look like for us to have it as a population. and what it would look like for us to have as a parcel. And as you said, it looks similar, but I even think for you guys would like to see those two as a comparison, right? And also, there was another topic brought up during that conversation that all municipalities don't have to pay the exact same way as another community. So if we decide to do it based on population, their only requirement is that we pay it. We can either pay it through general fund, which some municipalities do, if it's not an expensive amount, is my understanding. Is that correct?
That they never have, but they're talking about that as a
Okay.
possibility.
There was a multitude of things, but the bottom line is it. So if we create a district, how we choose to have that paid for is up to us.
Right. Is there any one of the other honor groups that is not using a special assessment to pay for their?
Well, we're all still in the middle of, up till this point, every municipality has used a special assessment. We're in the process with all of the municipalities of figuring out if that's what they're gonna do this time.
I can just say from a finance standpoint, we do not currently have anything in the budget to cover it for general fund, so that would be a hardship.
So what is that total? I'm sorry, what is that total?
Do you recall the amount?
I can send it to you.
So I think one of the frustrating parts, at least from my conversation with the other municipal groups, is it seems like this is really trying to get ramrodded through. You know, why didn't we start having this conversation back in April and giving us significant time to develop a plan? Because I think across the board, your other municipals are struggling with the size of the increase you're asking for. I think in the conversations I've had too, people are willing to do, you know, that $10 bump to get you off the ground here and get a longer plan put together for the other increases, but that seems to be the biggest roadblock I keep hearing from our neighbors is, well, we don't wanna pass something that's such a large increase over a short window of time. Can we get them the extra $10 per assessment now? So what was the strategy on why we're so late to the game here?
Yeah, so there were a number of things that contributed, not much of an excuse maker, but we had a pandemic through right up until the first part of this year. That did absorb a lot of our time.
Sure.
However, the biggest challenge for us was trying to understand our numbers. We were in the process of the state of Michigan changing the reimbursement rates for us for Medicare and Medicaid, and they were increasing the Medicaid. I didn't know what that number was going to look like until actually the day before we finalized this request with my board of directors. And that was in early spring. We had been talking about it with the board of directors since the end of the year, or beginning of the year, but we hadn't locked anything in to take back to the municipalities until early spring. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that there was just so many question marks around what we needed. So that's why I rolled out. I can tell you that Josh and I have talked about this multiple times, and never again will we ask for something the spring of when it's due. And we'll find a way to get that request going one way or the other, but yeah.
So, is this the meeting that we're supposed to talk financials? So we have yet to receive the financials to review the strength of SMACUS and how your financial performance has gone. We haven't received that data yet. When are we expecting to have it?
I didn't know I can send that stuff to you right now. I mean, as soon as we get out of here, I didn't know that was something you were looking for. Those are numbers that we share with.
I'm pretty sure, not to interrupt you, but I'm pretty sure that was in our list of requests for you tonight.
I must have missed it, I'm sorry. But that's an easy thing to share, so we'll get it to you.
No, I just wanted to bring up the point, and the reason we're in this situation with it being currently under a parcel situation is, correct me if I'm wrong in the time frame, but I believe it was 5 years ago, somewhere in that time frame, where municipalities had made a decision individually to go with the parcel cost, but not the charter is that the bylaws, or Mike had mentioned it on the call, that it actually is set up to be based on population for each municipality that's connected with SMACus, not the parcel, is that correct?
So, they have been for 20+ years using the per parcel model
Okay.
for the reimbursement. It was this last, it was a meeting at Bertrand where the attorney there brought up the fact that the bylaws set by population,
Mhm.
and they wanted to go back and look and see. They may have had that conversation many years ago, and none of us were there to witness it, and they decided that the per parcel closely matched that. I don't know, but
Okay.
I would suspect, and this is just my thought, that, because there's no taxing mechanism to tax per person, at our end, the closest taxing mechanism that we have as a tool to collect it is per parcel, because that's a closer number of population than going by, tax value of a home that doesn't accurately reflect how many people live in that residence. So I'm assuming that's how it got that way. There's probably a way they could calculate at the SMACus level, the final number that's due from each municipality based on population, but ultimately, we would have no way to collect it by person, it would have to be by parcel, or alternatively, through taxes, which if it came out of general fund, would be the same way. So one way or the other, it's either gonna come from the special assessment district, which is by necessity, the way the tool's formed by parcel, or alternatively as a tax that's based on assessed home value.
I don't think we're in a position where we wanna take that on out of general fund obligation.
Everything else going on, just saying, everything else is going on right now.
Because either way, it's still a tax that folks would be paying, it's just a different way to divide it. Personally, that would be less per person than this one currently is, so if you're trying to make it more accurate to per person, the other way would be less equitable.
So back to my question a little bit earlier, is it too late to unwind this a little bit to get you that first bump up and then approach this increase a little more strategically going forward for the alternative increases?
No, the municipality can decide just to do 1 or 2 years in this SAD. You can set it up however you like to set it up, so yeah.
But in terms of the general obligation amongst the ownership group, if we said we only wanted to elect it for 1 year as our individual group, and our partners all elected to go with the other ramp up, we're just gonna be having the same conversation again in a year.
Right.
What I'm saying is universally, I haven't talked to Niles City, that's the only one I haven't had a conversation with. It seems like the support would be for you to do just this 1 year up to 30, and then approach this more strategically going forward over a longer window of time. Those are the conversations I've been having, so.
Sure.
Is it too late for something like that to happen?
I mean, for all of the municipalities, I can't answer for them. I know the city of Niles is moving forward with it at this point as it is. The other municipalities are talking about doing it differently, so it really is the choice of the municipality if they want to go in one direction or the other.
So you have 6 municipalities that are vested in this?
Yes.
Are there any other communities involved in it?
There are 2 contracted communities. Those are Milton Township and Buchanan Township.
Do they pay the same rates as everybody else?
Up till this year, yes, they have.
Meaning that's gonna change or just hasn't been voted on?
Meaning we haven't sorted it out with them. I know that Milton Township has already agreed to move forward with it the way it was presented.
Is there a risk to the 6 that own this? I'm just wondering if the 2 that aren't part of the ownership, because they don't have the same risk as everybody else, if they should be paying a little bit more.
That's a great question. There has been conversation about one of those municipalities becoming an owner with everybody else. We've been having that conversation for 8 years now that I've been here. So there's a possibility that would be the way we would resolve it, is to have them take on the risk with everybody else. And we're really not sure where we stand with the other ones. Okay, we cover a small, we cover a sliver at the bottom. preliminary standpoint, we haven't started the discussion with them.
Well, most of my questions, going back 2 weeks were with the financials. So without those, I don't have any more questions for you.
What kind of financial questions did you have?
I just want to review your audit, financial package, your income statement, balance sheet, everything.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, sorry.
When did this special assessment, what was the purpose of it originally? One of the conversations I had was it really came from some capital equipment purchases that needed to happen at one time. And then it just became this ongoing need, a sort of lifeline from the municipalities. But originally, SMACS, in my understanding, was supposed to operate independently on its own billing. What
Yeah.
happened?
So, in almost all ambulance services, outside of a few ambulance services at dense urban communities where they can run very high utilization ratio, every ambulance service has a certain amount of subsidy to help cover the cost of the service. All of our costs are tied up in what we call the cost of readiness. So that time while the crew is available, waiting for that call, that is where the cost of our service is tied up in. And in the communities that run very, very busy systems, there's very little cost of readiness. They're running one call after another. Whereas communities like ours, it's a little wider of a gap, and so it's more expensive to provide that service. Unfortunately, the insurance companies, Medicare and Medicaid, don't reimburse us at the levels that it costs to actually run the service. So they especially Medicaid pays us at well under what it costs to actually be ready for that next call. Medicare isn't quite as bad. But so we're not reimbursed at a level where we can totally fund it on our own and maintain that state of readiness. And that's pretty consistent across the industry.
Didn't Mike had shared a number that you guys were behind from you receiving money from Medicare and Medicaid? Was there a specific number to just to clarify more on what you're leaning towards?
The way the presentation, from what I recall, went was
Did they build 5 million?
everyone was
Two and a
getting,
half around?
everyone's redemption rate or whatever getting paid out was equitable, except, or in terms of what they collected on, it was pretty even amongst the two others that were in the presentation, right? VMPR and EMT and medical, I think were the other two references in your presentation.
So you're talking about what they collect from.
Yeah, percentage, does that sound right?
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, SMAC wasn't able to keep up with paying their employees, even though the collection rate was very similar.
Yeah, and if you look at Van Buren EMS, they get basically 3 times the subsidy.
And where do they get it from?
They get it from a millage within the county, Van Buren County. And then Medic One gets theirs from a millage within their coverage areas. They're about, I think they're pretty close to $1 million in Medic One.
And I can say for reference that it is fairly common for it to be a county millage as opposed to the way Berrien County is currently doing it, where it's up to each, local municipality to sort of figure it out for themselves. So that's a thought process, for future conversations perhaps, is that it might be worth having a dialogue with the county to see if there's better ways to do this and have it be a countywide millage if that's preferable, because that is an option and it's not an uncommonly used one.
So I'm assuming you're getting beat up by every municipality that you're serving right now about why are you charging us what you're charging us, right?
Yeah, it's very much.
Is you getting beat up is not going to change what you need though, correct?
No.
You need that $50, ultimately, you need the $50 per parcel, correct?
Over the next 5 years, yeah. So I think it's good that people are responsible with other people's money when you're talking about this kind of stuff, so, I get beat up a little bit, but I think it's kind of my job to answer those questions.
It's not, can I make a comment?
Sure.
It's more disheartening to the people that work for us to hear how SMACUS is so wonderful, but yet we don't wanna do anything for them.
Right.
I mean, literally, we have people sitting in restaurants telling we're not worth any of this money. Board members, mind you. So it's disheartening to say.
I mean, my point is, like, I mean, we can sit here and beat you up all day long, but if we want ambulance service, we're gonna have to pay. And we're either gonna have to raise taxes, or we're gonna have to do the special assessment. There's no way around it. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I think that was the major overlying statement on the call was, you can have it or not have it. That's what it comes down to, and it's not to be quip about it. In short, it's the honest truth. You're gonna pay somebody. If it's not Smackus, you're gonna be paying somebody.
And this is something else that is, you know, I talked about the subsidy being kind of a constant across communities. This meeting, this discussion is happening with a lot of ambulance services, a lot of government entities right now. A lot of ambulance services, well, probably almost all ambulance services are realizing that they need more revenue, that there's going to be a significant wage increase, their workforce costs are gonna go up, that's our biggest concern. I can tell that's the big concern everywhere in the industry right now.
Can I ask you, when was the last time that you did a pay raise? I mean, I don't know how you do pay raises for your workers, but when was the last time that you gave an increase across the board?
We do, what I would consider similar to a COLA raise every year. Now, the last 3 years were probably the most aggressive we've been. Those were 2.5%, 2.5%, and 3%. For the first 3 years that I was here, now bear in mind that we were struggling financially when I got here. Those first 3 years, there was a 0, 0, and a 1%. So we haven't, if you look at the full 8 years, we haven't kept up.
I mean, you're still the lowest paid in the area, right?
We are among comparable ambulance services. Like if you look at Medic One, B-Bumps, and I just learned the other day that Life Care Ambulance, which is the folks over in Battle Creek, they're paying about $20,000 a year. Tahoe scale more than us, or about 33% more than we are at this point. And that's gone up recently for them because we're all in the same boat right now.
So is some of this money from the special assessment, is that gonna go towards across the board raises for?
Virtually all of it, yes. Virtually all of it will have to go towards increasing our compensation.
I mean, to me, if everybody's doing that right now, I mean, I've given out $4 an hour this year just to keep my employees before they leave.
I was floored at what you are paying them right now compared to what they service the communities with. It's impressive you've had them as long as you have the ones in your states.
I think where I'm going with this is I can appreciate us beating them up. I think number one, for me personally, I think what they're asking for is fair considering today's economic environment and, you know, where we are. It's difficult enough to find people who want to do your job, but if you don't pay them, nobody's going to do it. So I can totally see the need for this money, and in my opinion, I think it's a no-brainer. If we want ambulance service in our community, this is something we're going to have to do. I mean, I agree with Patrick. I don't like the idea that it kind of fell in our lap suddenly. And it makes it hard to plan.
So all I'm coming from is, no offense, but I don't know you from Adam. I don't know the financial performance of Smackus other than historically it's not gone well over there for various reasons, right? Might not have been under you, it was under the last guy, right?
Yeah, 8 years ago it was bad.
So I've never reviewed the strength of that organization. Do I know if it's running efficiently? Probably billing a lot through a third party, right? Is that the second? I don't know. I don't know your business. But today's discussion was supposed to be about the financial component of how Snacks is operating, so I could better understand that. Can't do that today. I agree with Sean. I definitely think we need to have ambulance service. I just want to make sure my constituents feel that I gave this an up and down look. This is the best move for us. Our last meeting, we had people come in with exact comments where disappointed in how the word's gone out on it. The due diligence was solid from a couple individuals. So I've gotta be up here and stand behind that. I reviewed it. They need the money. Second that, I think the organization's going in the right direction. That's what I need to see.
Well, I will say that tonight's action doesn't lock in that, and I would really welcome the opportunity to meet one-on-one with you and go through all those financials, or with any board member that would like to do that. Ambulance financials there's really nothing else out there like them, so it's better if we could sit down together and I can go through line by line with you, what everything means. I would welcome that opportunity, I really would. I'm sorry I didn't understand that's what you wanted to see tonight.
I think if you can give us those financials, relatively soon, so we can start looking at it, it would be greatly appreciated. And I think we can schedule a public hearing. I mean, that's not gonna stop anything.
Right.
But yeah, if we could get the financial, it would make everybody sleep a lot better.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions? Would you like to make a motion to approve the public hearing resolution?
So I'll make a motion to approve the SMACS resolution 2022-08/424 as presented.
I'll support. We roll call, please.
Well, for purpose of, excuse me, for purpose of discussion, what we're approving here is just the public hearing to move forward with that, correct?
To consider moving forward.
Okay.
We roll call, please.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
carries.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna move on to reports by departments, committees and boards, starting with our city clerk.
So we had the August primary, on Tuesday. Our voter turnout was a 14.47%, which was lower than the last governor primary, which was at 17.6%. Good news is Tyler Wright passed at 349 to 153. County was really low too on voter turnout, it was only at 22.87%. So, we gotta get the word out a little bit more, hopefully in November, I think we'll pick up a lot more just because it's a governor race, so it's a little more.
How many absentee ballots you have?
So I had 175 sent out, and I had a 72% rating return. So, not as high as it was the last time, but pretty decent. We had 13 new workers out of 22 for the election, so we had a lot of new faces, but I had awesome feedback from 2 different challengers saying that they didn't need to challenge, they never challenged the voter, they always challenged the process, and they did not need to challenge anybody, so that made me very happy. But it was a long day, and thanking the workers, and everything went great in the county. We're canvassing right now, so everything was pretty smooth, which was fun, so that's always nice when it goes smooth and everything.
It was smooth because you did an excellent job.
Thank you.
The only complaint that was at precinct 2, you moved everything around, it really confused
I
everybody.
did. I moved a
The
lot.
first thing I heard, they said, everybody comes in here and goes right to that table, and I'm like, well, that's where it's been for, and I was that person too, I started going. Is that Colin?
I'm sorry, I had to because
just
I
kidding,
needed
I
to
know.
keep the tabulator away from the window as far as possible. And it was a big thing that we got hit on in the audit for the state of Michigan was that the workers were not sitting 10 feet apart. So if you noticed, you saw big orange lines where I was trying to get people to notice, like, you do not step in there when somebody's at the tabulator. So we had to try and make room, so we had to move things around, so.
It's fine, it was just to have fun, because I thought it was interesting that when I said it, they, yeah, every person who's come in here has said
That's
the
what-
same thing.
I figured, well, maybe walk in.
The other precinct was the same way. I moved that.
Well, it's not going nowhere, sorry.
If that's our only complaint, I think you're doing this
I think we're
fine.
good.
It was relatively smoothly.
It was great.
It was a great job.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for that? Okay, moving on to the finance department report.
I handed out a growth and expenditure report, and
says period ending 8/31, but I just wanted to include the check run that were gonna be included today, but obviously those are on hold, so this is kind of skewed, but just to give you an idea of where we are collecting property taxes, the dollar amount here was through 7/31 for the city's portion. Admin fees are a little higher than what should be at this time of year because we collected 2 years tax collection for the schools because it wasn't collected last year. So we had to collect 2 years this year, so that's a little higher. There are still a few expenses that need to be recategorized.
Why wasn't it collected last year?
I wasn't here.
Sorry.
So that's all I can say. It wasn't done, so we were able to collect it, and they paid. There was no qualms with any of the schools paying it. So
But we had to collect from the schools.
we collect can't remember, I think it's 25 cents per
To
person.
administer,
Yeah, just
collection
the
of,
collect, because
got
we're
it.
the collector and the transfer
Yep.
thing.
yeah, okay.
As I was saying, some of the expenditures are gonna have to be recategorized, some of the salaries are not importing correctly from the payroll import, so you'll see those are askew. And right now, the only thing we're really looking at going over is gonna be payroll for some departments, and that's based on costs.
Any questions for her? Obviously, we haven't had a lot of last time with the news, but, maybe a lot of questions next
Well,
time.
while we're here, we can talk about Plant Moran.
Yes, we
What's
can.
going on with Plant Moran? Who's doing our audit this year?
So we have Krugel Lawton who's performing the audit and Plant Moran is doing the audit prep, because we do have a lot of audit prep that has to be done. And the treasurer who was here started basically right at the tail end of the fiscal year, so has no knowledge of anything that happened the prior fiscal year. So we need, Plant Moran to assist with getting those materials ready for the audit.
Because they were more familiar with what's going on.
Exactly, because they were the ones who assisted with it, and obviously Deb wasn't here for any of it, so she has no firsthand knowledge of any of it.
How long will they be involved? I'm just curious
The
about maybe
audit is scheduled for, I know they moved it, what's the new date? So end of August, we're gonna be going through the audit, so in the next few weeks, that should be all finished.
Good.
And it'll be gone.
We get salary percentages, what we're.
Yeah,
We've seen a lot of shifts in Plant Moran in the last
Correct.
2 years. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Before we move on to the next one. Okay, thank you. All right, moving down to public services report.
Good evening to everyone. I do not have an update for Third Street, as I don't have heard back from South on that. They did come and repair the sinkholes, or attempted to repair. I don't know if they got them all taken care of over here, but they came to cold patch them for the event. I've put a lot of flowable fill in those holes over the years. I don't know if that's the fix, but I've done it a lot there, that's all I can tell you. So it's going somewhere, and it's not going out where you can see it, so I don't know what the deal is, but they did look at the tops of the structures, and they are happy with the tops of the structures, and that's their take on it. I wish I was a little more involved last week, but I was a little busy with Drill on the Hill, which I thought was a fantastic event for all the community, and we had a great time. Third Street, like I said, I don't have a report on that. I did go and assess some of Third Street again. The intersection of Short and Third has been repaired 3 different times already, and there's a big swale on the road there. I probably need to close that intersection down. But I'm gonna reassess tomorrow and see if there's anything in the manholes, and I can see where it's going. We also did find another sinkhole down, I wanna say it's a little further down, Dewey and Short Street. somewhere by the sidewalk is what one of my guys said, he saw walking over the weekend, so. I've gotta assess those, but that's where we're at with my stuff. I wanna say thank you to everyone that participated with Drill and Hill, John and Tim, Affordable Asphalt, killed it. Randy Hendrickson did a fantastic job. These ladies from City Hall, excellent job. My group did an excellent job. I'm happy the event went off, and it's over with. Everything that could have been thrown at me was thrown at me. We had a gas leak right in the middle of everything. We had to shut down on Tuesday when we started building it, and help Semco make a repair on a gas line. So I could get them out of my way and get going. We took the lid off the catch basin to put a bag over it so sand wouldn't go in. And when I pulled the grated lid off the top, I said, oh boy. How that grated lid was holding that much gas smell in there, I have no idea, but it was. So we found it in front of Smokes and we fixed it. Other than that, I felt everything was pretty smooth. We did use, to save on cost, a lot of the sand from the DPW site. So we only hauled in some sand from the pit, so.
And then you get back down to the.
And we just took everything back down to DPW because that's where we're gonna use it anyway, so. That's where I'm at with that stuff, so.
I was contacted by Semco, they said you did an excellent job helping us get that gas leak fixed, so thanks.
I basically told them I didn't have time for them to be in my way, so what do I need to do to help people?
That's what they said.
And I did not say it like that, because at that point I was like, oh boy, here we go.
So, did you talk to Scott from Selge at all about Third Street? And when I spoke to Scott after he'd done Smith and Dewey, he had mentioned to me that it might be worthwhile to look at Third Street and see if there's something else that can be done temporarily to get the street open and maybe not spend as much money as we're planning on spending on Smith Street. Did you speak to him at all about that or not?
Scott and I talked last week, he did not say much about Third Street. I, on the other hand, I'm not gonna be the one who says we're gonna open that road. I'm gonna tell you that. I've seen that pipe from start to finish before we couldn't get down it with the camera. I cannot get down it with my camera. That pipe is in terrible condition. So if you guys tell me to open that road.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
But if we're gonna fix it like that, I'm not comfortable opening that road. I'm just letting you know.
You're gonna fix it like what?
If they're gonna open it up and make a repair this big, I'm telling you.
No, all Scott was saying was, should Selge come back in and look at it and see if they can come up with something that maybe you did.
Selge was with me through the whole process, so I don't know what because of Selge, we sent our camera down it again, and we couldn't get down it that time. I have video from when we did all this assessment with Brian Newhoff the first time, and the pipe is in worse condition than it was then. So, I don't know what the goal is there or how they're going to assess the situation there. From the view of the camera, the pipe it's a clay tile, it's squished for one thing. So every 6 feet, 3 feet, whatever it is, the length of the pipe, there's cracks, multiple cracks everywhere. There's pieces in the bottom that you can't get over with the camera with tires on it that are this big around. It won't go over the pieces of the pipe that are in there. So when Selge looked at it with me, when it originally happened, July of last year, we made the assessment that they didn't know where it was going in, and we couldn't pinpoint it because we couldn't get the camera there. And there's no clear, with every sinkhole we go to, there's no clear spot where it goes. Okay, Scott tells you this, and then Scott sends me pictures that he was in South Bend last week of a sinkhole that they had in the road. In the picture, you can clearly see a spot in the road like this with a sign written on the road, sink, with an arrow at it. That whole entire intersection was gone.
That's not the pictures. But
It was gone.
But
So-
Scott did, I'm just saying, Scott did a good job fixing the sinkholes on Smith and near as I can tell. I mean, and he fixed the culvert, near as I can tell, he patched that hole.
For 19 years, I've fixed that culvert that exact same way. I can't tell you how
So,
much concrete.
okay, so here's my question then, why didn't we fix it this time, and why has it been closed for 6 months?
I'm not the one who found it, and I'm not the one who said we needed to close that road. I don't think that that's fixed, but
But I mean, it's passable, that's, right?
as far
Wait,
as
Scott was
goes,
telling-
I mean, you think,
I'm just going by what Scott is telling me.
sure, all of it
Did
is
he have to
fine.
fix it? He said he got under there and that the culvert looked okay. He said there was a retaining wall or something that needs attention.
I think the head walls need fixed on the ends of the culvert. But I'm not the one who came up with the plan to say we needed to fix it in the first place, to tear it out and redo it in $500,000 deep. But I will tell you that the engineers that are working on my building are the ones who looked at it and said, you probably should look at this as well. Because it started this big, and by the time Scott fixed it, it was,
So who closed the road?
we did, because there was a hole in it.
But you just said you didn't you?
Yeah, no, I closed that road, because I was told to close the road.
Who told you
We talked about it in a meeting,
to close the bridge?
yes.
Okay. Okay, I mean, I'm just trying to remember.
It was talked about right here.
I guess at that point, we should have been told that we fixed it 10 times before, when we could have fixed
I mean,
it
that's
in
a
whole
I-
instead of letting it wash out
I
more.
did tell everybody that we fixed it 10 times before. I've had concrete trucks there at least 10 times putting concrete in that hole. When I was on the fire department, before I even worked here, there was holes in that bridge that were fixed with concrete trucks. And that was 10 years before I worked here.
How's the DPW building project going?
I can speak a little more to that. We had a Zoom meeting recently. The contractual issues were really what held everything up. It does sound like, we're not Barton Group, but Bergman is still being a little bit slow to get some things back to Amelia, but she was going to be pushing them, and once that's finished, it should be all steam ahead.
And then once that's finished, then Bergman has to work on the drawings. So then there's kind of a hurry up, get the contracts done, and then wait for drawings. So
Correct.
There's gonna be a small delay before we start seeing some drawings. But the contract stuff is nearly completed, I think, with everything.
And then, I know Mac had obviously life event happened, but where do we stand on the retaining wall on Front Street?
I haven't heard from him since that came out. I did tell him to give me a call when he's feeling up to it. I'll reach back out to him again. Right tomorrow.
He actually just texted me and would like to speak to me tomorrow, so hopefully that's what it's about.
Alright.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me get a question. Maggie? Okay, moving down to public safety report.
Good evening, everyone. Before I jump into kind of a summary of National Night Out, I'd like to introduce you to our newest officer, Angela Baggett.
Hi.
She comes to us from the Berrien County Sheriff's Department, and she's doing an outstanding job. So we really appreciate her being here and providing continued excellence in law enforcement service. Thank you, Andy. Okay. So National Night Out, again, was a success. We probably had approximately about 375 people there. I'd like to thank Mayor Sean being out and Larry came as well. We also had the advantage of the Scarecrow charities. They gave us 2 donations. One was for National Night Out, $200 check that we took a nice photo op with, as well as they gave another $500 again for Shop the Cop this year. So the Scarecrow charities have been always good to the city of Buchanan, especially to the police department, to help us with that particular program. Of course, National Night Out with all the people there. We were successful with having our slide with the fire department, again, our city fire, providing the water for the slides. It did work really well. So if you see me going down the slides or anything like that, you saw me also covered in grass. All of our businesses that donated generously, again, helped to make our night a very good success. Not only with food, but we also had other agencies there. We had state police there as there with their display. The sheriff's department showed up kind of in mass, I guess, with some of their things, as well as now sent over their K-9 to participate with us this year, as well as the Girl Scouts also had a booth set up. One Buchanan also set up a booth and was doing cotton candy and some other things as well. Again, a very successful night where we stood together and took a stand against what we call crime and things in the city, but also having a good family event where both the city, its citizens, and the police stood together in partnership. So, any questions?
I just, first, you have to give us some schmutz on your shirt, I don't know what that is. But, that's great.
One of the best schools around, you know?
I just, after watching it, National Night Out, I just want you to know, I think you do a phenomenal job of relating to the public. You do a phenomenal job. Thank you.
And it's, and again, it's not just me, but all of my officers
Yes.
have been involved with that. Again, we want to make sure that as a community-oriented police department, that we're doing that kind of service. So we do the crime fighting, but also want our citizens to know that they can approach us, that we can do things together in partnership. And again, it was a very successful night, and it's just one of those activities that's just very fun, and everybody in the department helped, not only with Diana, but also the director and all the officers getting a dunk tank and everything else. Did you throw it?
No.
I missed that. Somehow you said you're gonna get me, but
Next year.
next year.
The police force does take their squirt guns very seriously.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Angela needs to get a little bit better on her squirt gun marksmanship. I noticed that, and their stealth capabilities aren't very good. But that whole program is an outstanding program. And if you've never been down there to participate, you miss a lot of what the city does. Not only the police department and our public safety, but the fire department and all the surrounding units that come in, and the people that I guess Harvey and Diane and everybody get to volunteer, because it's just great the way they can move all of those people through there. I know when I got down there, there was a ton of people, and I mean, they were shoveling out hot dogs and pizza and everything. So it's really a testament to the community, to what you folks do. And I personally want to thank you. Chief Gaines has done a great job, and over the years, but I know that you've been instrumental in this for, I don't know how many years, but it's been a while.
Well, we thank all of your support for that. This is a national event, so this does take place across the country and in our county. They do also have other national events celebrated up in San Joe, Benton Harbor, Marion Springs, but ours is always the best. So I may be biased, but
No, it was phenomenal.
it is.
And the hot dogs were really good.
Yes.
Next year, we'll have a balloon launch here.
Yes, we're already planning balloon launching, so, you're gonna be the mayor again, guess what? On to the mayor.
Appreciate it very much. It was a great job.
Thank you.
All right, moving down to the community development report.
Hello, Commission, Rich Murphy, Community Development Director. A few items tonight. First item is consider approval of adult use Class C grow permit at the Redbud Roots. Just a little background. Redbud Roots has operated as a medical grow facility at this location since their inception, and they notified the city that they want to so to speak, retired medical license, and with a seamless transition, basically use the exact same footprint to continue under the adult use permitting. So they recently renewed several permits this summer. This one, we just dot the i's and cross the t's. We wanted to bring it back to the Plan Commission and get a special use for adult use, which Plan Commission was very flexible and agreed to a special meeting today, in fact, so this would allow Redbud Roots to pursue their license at the state level in a seamless manner. So the Plan Commission, after the public hearing and meeting today, unanimously approved this special use permit. Again, per the testimony today, there's no changes to the operation. It's the same equipment, footprint, parking, site plan, but just under a different license heading. And Alex from Redbud Roots is here. We spent most of the day today. If you have any questions, I have reviewed the application and the special use was approved today. I do find the application being good order and recommend approval of the permit. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Or anybody would like to make a motion?
Where does this leave our license count
I think we have two, I can, Plan Commission asked for an updated itinerary or inventory. I think there's two left for adult use.
I'll move to approve the adult use Class C growth permit at 447 Post Road for Redbud Roots.
Thank you, is there support?
Can you make the correction to have that 448, just for the record?
Yes.
I'll second.
Does the resolution say 447?
It says 447, it should be 448.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Kim.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Gotcha.
Any questions or discussion? May roll call, please.
Dennison,
approval?
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah, second. Yeah, second.
Welcome
Dennison,
back, Larry. Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Yes.
carried.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Commission. Thank you, Alex, for your continued investment. Again, appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, second item is, this is kind of like a redo. A few meetings ago, approved resolutions for our tax abatement projects. We were given information that these resolutions would be sufficient. However, when we sent them down to the state, they weren't specific enough. The statute states that certain items have to be listed in the resolution that were the exact items that you approved by virtue of your last resolution and all the attached applications. So what this resolution does is, these resolutions do, in the case of hometown video and start school, is just the commission reapproving the resolution for the redemption certificate with per the details that the statute requires to have inside the resolution. And those are specifically the term, the legal description, and I believe those were the two main items. So as soon as you approve this, we will hightail them down to the state so that we can get these tax abatements approved. And it's, this is the first tax abatement we've done in, I think, several years. And it's a learning process. We'll get better for the next time and make sure the resolution's correct on the first time.
Any questions? Anybody like to make a motion, please?
This is money I'd move to approve the Oprah exemption resolution for hometown video as presented.
Thank you, is there support?
Support?
Thank you, can we roll call, please?
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Abstain, business interest.
Dennison.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Last item is, I in relation to the hometown video rehab project, it's creating 2 retail spaces on Days and Front Street. We have the operator.
Oh, sorry, we need to backtrack and do the open for start school too. That's okay.
I'd really like to make a motion for that.
So I'll move to approve the Oprah exemption resolution for Start School as presented. I'll support.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you. Okay, back to the hometown video, the operator, Buchanan Craft. You may be aware of their other business, there's a Server for St. Joe Brewery, we're excited to have their footprint downtown in this new, newly rehab building. They have applied for their liquor license, and as you guys are aware, there's details in the law that many times defer to the unit of government to give their blessing, so to speak. Sometimes it's in relation to the application, which you did for them several months ago when they applied. And in this case, it is for them to be clear that they have permission to operate al fresco dining and drinks on the sidewalk along Days Avenue and Front Street. So this is basically Brian Doherty of Buchanan Craft was notified by the state. We need permission from the local government. We asked them what the resolution needs to contain. They dropped that in there. It's basically what the resolution says, which is permission to operate as discussed. And so if this is another thing that the state needs in order to move his application forward. If we get this down to the state, they'll hopefully approve his liquor license. They can be ready for one step closer to operations.
Would you like to make a motion?
So I'll move to approve the outdoor service area resolution for Buchanan Craft LLC as presented. Is there support?
Mrs. Money, I support.
Roll call, please.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Carries.
Just briefly, I just want to comment, this was my first witnessing an election in Buchanan, and I thought the clerk did a phenomenal job. And it was interesting for me to see the election happen on the municipal level in Michigan. Also Thrill on the Hill, I'm blown away. You guys know how to party. And you know, the amount of play that we're getting on social media is like, you know, for us, it's like near viral. So we are really breaking into some other markets. People are looking at Buchanan. Everybody wants a water slide in their city. So thanks for being the trendsetters. We'll continue to place the trail.
Just so you know, we're not going on the road.
You want to do it twice a year now?
Yeah.
I will, but we're gonna do it consecutive weeks.
I did get a lot of
Yeah, we're gonna do
questions.
it in the summer, not winter.
Who spoke this? And I said, you just have to read the paper.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murphy. We have no unfinished business. So moving down to new business, Historic Preservation Society requests the old female sign.
Yes, I received an outreach from the Historic Preservation Society inquiring to specifically get the sign on the old feed mill prior to demolition of the structure. With the commission's approval, I would recommend that that be transferred and that we give them sort of leeway to see if there are any other historically relevant items that they might want to remove from the structure.
There's quite a bit of stuff still in that building. There's old scales, as I remember. There's old scales and stuff in there that they would probably be really interested in that are
Larry, did you
quite
get
a
on that?
value.
Did you get on that as a kid?
Yeah, that's how I used to weigh it. That's how we used to weigh it when I was
That's what I thought.
wrestling in high school. You know,
Did they move this?
the 95 pounders. Right, Jimmy? Yeah, that's a.
Park a dinosaur outside.
so you know, those scales, the things are only like this high.
I didn't wanna say anything, but I'm glad you did.
So the ones at the school, he probably couldn't reach them.
And I should have thought of it earlier, but I would also recommend that we allow the same opportunity for the Rota Tire 2 property if there's anything of historical value that they wanted to preserve from that building as well. I think that might be worth considering allowing that. There might be signage or something that they're interested in. It's
Yeah, that goes back to Stefan, so.
So can we just change this motion to the old feed mill site? So it
Sure.
would include everything on that
Yeah.
piece of property.
I think that'd be accurate.
Anybody like to make that motion?
So I'll move to approve the.
Do you want it? No, I want to Larry have it.
Go ahead, Larry.
Okay. I move to approve the request of the Historic Preservation Society and the authority of the city manager to oversee the transactions of the historic items of the old feed mill / Rota Tire property.
That's close enough. Do we have support?
I'm going off the rails.
I'll support.
Get a roll call.
Tony,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon.
Yes.
Carries.
It's a great idea too. Makes total sense. Okay, moving down to communication.
None to share.
Public comment, non-agenda items only. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please make your way to the podium. You're good, Norma?
We got Tyler right on it.
We got Tyler right.
Normal, all that hard work, and Tyler right, got on the agenda, many times.
October, you'll hear from Pete for contract.
Perseverance.
So speaking of Norma, I did want to also note that not only is Dial-A-Ride approved, but I'm sure you've probably already noticed Channel 17 is operational. For those who haven't, please check it out. We do have a much better quality signal than we did previously. It's still not HD, unfortunately. However, it's pretty close, and it's actually legible now, which it was not historically. So we are airing some video in there along with our general slideshow of informational materials. We'll continue to produce more video content now that we have that option. So I think that will hopefully grow to become something that people actually tune into and enjoy watching. So that's our goal with that, is using that more of a communication and outreach for our public. Additionally, I know everyone's already mentioned what a great job Callie did, but I'm gonna join in on that bandwagon. The lady worked 21 hours that day, and that's a huge undertaking, and I couldn't thank her more for doing such a stupendous job. And speaking of hard work, our entire city staff, from DPW down to our bookkeeper and Brittany, we have people working, 15 to 20 hour days every day, out till 1 in the morning for Thrill on the Hill, and I just applaud them and our volunteers who came out and showed up and helped, and they can't be overstated what a wonderful community this is, and people do step up, and the hundreds of smiling faces make it all worth it, so it was a great time. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Whedon?
Sure. To piggyback on what you said, I really don't think it can be overstated how impressive it was for such a young staff in the city of Buchanan to pull off something that grand, because it was new placement, new items, new vendors, everything was new, right? The only thing that was somewhat close to it was your project, but it wasn't any less difficult. The police force, Tim, Harvey, you guys, everything was top notch. They took it to the next level and basically kept everybody happy for 3 days in a row. And even trying to keep the staff motivated, but I think just the smiling faces and the excitement that came to you guys, and even with the difficult questions, I'm sure it just re-energized you. And I know that the days we were out there, you guys started out slowly, and as the days went on, right, it got even more exciting. So it was impressive. If you took the time to go down there and what everybody did, the volunteers, and what it took to put together, and what Randy, and it can go on and on and on. You took what was historically a really good event and made it even better. So thank you to everybody who was involved. That's all I have. I don't even, I wanna say something about Larry, but I don't have anything else. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Massive, huge thank you to the election working team, Thrill on the Hill team, all of those that are involved there, Chippewa-Palooza, you name it. Thank you. It's what makes this community great. All of you. Really impressed with our turnout for tonight's pre-meeting for the design of downtown. So that was the first time a lot of us had seen that, if any of you weren't aware of that. So we got to take it in from the same angle, all of the constituents that showed up. Really impressed with how many people came. Pretty positive communications from what I heard from others in the room, so keep up the great work on that. Let's keep building on that. And I wanted to welcome Officer Baggett, when she's on the job again. Get back to work, right? One question for you, Heather, is when do we think we'll start the RFP for the demos? I know we still are getting through some environmental pieces
I still
first.
haven't received the needed materials from Point Blue, so I'm gonna reach back out to them and remind them that we need that to send out the RFPs, but hopefully by this week would be my goal.
Oh, wow.
If there's what
Sooner
they
than I
have, I
thought.
can build off of, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that's great to hear. That's it. Thank you, everybody.
No comment. Commissioner Munn.
Well, I'm personally gonna stand.
All right, go ahead.
And thank everyone that was involved with the Thrill on the Hill, from starting right here at City Hall, to Mike Baker and his crew, to Mr. Gaines and Chief Harvey for everything they did. I wasn't able to be there for the whole thing. I had a prior commitment, but from what I understand, it was a huge success. I see these guys working countless hours on the time I was here. So I just want to stand and say thanks for everything you did for this city. Kayla, you ran a great election. I was down here, I was in and out of here. It was a pleasure meeting your mother up at that on my badge. And once again, Harvey and the police department and all the public utilities, great job on National Night Out. The only thing I will say, that this was a great event, but if we want to go back in time, when Buchanan used to have a Labor Day celebration, we never ran out of beer.
Sometimes it's a blessing to run out of
I'm not saying that's good thing. Most people other than maybe Jimmy, well, Mike was down there, but he was he couldn't even get in the beer tent. Yeah, we never ran out of beer on the Labor Day celebration, but what a great program this was.
Oh, that's great. Was that it?
That's it. Thanks, sir.
You can go ahead and sit down. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to. Oh, shit, I noticed.
We're walking out of this.
I'm gonna jump on things everybody else is saying. I'd like to change the name of Channel 17 to the Norma Ferris Channel. Honestly, Norma, we appreciate you. The fact that you do what you do is awesome. Thank you for bugging Comcast. Callie, you really did do a great job of the election. Like, I'm very, very proud to have you as our state clerk. Thrill on the Hill was ridiculous. And I don't want to throw old administration under the bus or anything, but it was so different this year. It was so well thought out and laid out. It worked. Like, it was so much better than normal. It was phenomenal. So, thank you to all the volunteers that did that. National Night Out is a great night. What else can I say? Like, it's so cool to see the kids interacting with the police and the fire, and I don't know, I don't know what the sheriff's office was doing, but they wanted to show off all their toys. There was boats and there was tanks and there was, like, there was everything.
Well, they don't have what our police force does, so they gotta bring all the equipment. If they were as cool as.
We'll be in front of you for some of that equipment.
Yeah, just stick with being awesome.
We need a boat.
Let them have it. Sorry.
No, you're fine. And I forget to mention it, but, you know, we had a meeting earlier about the downtown reconstruction project, which is going to be an incredibly difficult, but an incredibly worthwhile project when it's done. So it was really nice to see that many people here on the kickoff night to get that going. I look forward to many more meetings like that. I think so. The only question I do have one question for you, and that is about your goals. I know that I started a conversation with the city attorney about your review, and that came up as part of that conversation, where we are on your goals. But also, I think we were supposed to have addressed your goals a couple weeks ago. So, is that close? Is that something that we?
Yeah, we can do that either in a special meeting. I was thinking we were gonna do them in those Saturday work session meetings we sort of scheduled, but then didn't really have. So if we can either go back to schedule one of those, or I can put it on the agenda for a regular meeting, however you guys wanna handle it.
Yeah, those Saturday things never really ever took.
Yeah, we put them on there, but there was never a quorum that were available, so
It's been a crazy 6-8 months.
it's been a busy summer, yeah.
It's gone really fast, unfortunately. But we can talk about that one, how we'd like to do that. But that's all I have. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Is there support?
This is money I'll support.
Here, roll call, please.
I don't know. Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Donnie. You adjourn.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for being a good sport.
You know, yes, you're like, what? I mean, you have a good night.